Hi, so I want to talk a little bit about Brian Kolberger. There's reasons why I want to talk about this. Now, I really get the feeling he's neurodivergent. Now, I can't really say that for sure. I'm not a clinical psychologist, and you only have to be a clinical psychologist, but you have to be interviewing him. He's been really still being talked about. He's a little more unique than other people. But I'm going to tell you, this is what it's like to be neurospicy or similar, and people just don't get you because neurospicy people are not gotten. We just do not make sense. If there were a lot of things about him that made him come across more neurospicy, he followed patterns. That's a big one. We, as neurospicy people, are all about the patterns. We follow patterns almost to a T, depending on where you're at on the whole area of things. The other thing is, if you watch him, he's different than the other ones. Like if you watch Ted Bundy wanted to be known. If you watch Kolberger, he's kind of like, he doesn't care if you know who he is. When there was a witness impact statement, he was like, so, whatever. Well, okay, so. It was almost like he was somewhere else as people were talking. Like he was thinking about, I wonder what I'm having for breakfast. I wonder if I'm going to have what we're having for dinner. Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe. Okay. That's one of the reasons why you really didn't see him movement or anything. He was off somewhere else. It was like he was daydreaming about something else as he's hearing all these victim impacts things. He purposely went somewhere else in his head. Sometimes it's easier for some to do, sometimes it's not. The other thing about neurospicy people, some of us do not like emotions, and we can be really stoic around emotions as other people are just crying and upset, and we're just almost annoyed. If you watched his expression, he was annoyed. He was very annoyed. I would have been annoyed. I'm going to tell you that. I would have been annoyed with all that emotion. It's too much. I don't want to hear it. Let's move on. Okay, I've given my statement. I've accepted this. Let me move on. I'm done. I mean, that's almost what it looked like to me. Again, I'm getting this feeling. I'm picking this up. So there's a couple of reasons why he's different. One, if he's neurospicy, his processing's going to be completely different. Two, different generation. So we're going to talk a little bit more about this neurospicy processing because boy, is that fun. So most people have you have a reason why you're going to do something or why you want to be known. He was studying this stuff. But there was also, I think, a part of him was like, I'm not normal. I don't feel like other people. Is this who I am? Because I don't have emotion, and these people don't have emotion. So am I like them? I think he was really questioning and trying to figure out who he was and what he was going through. And because there weren't, I'm going to say this point, because people over the age of 22 were not getting diagnosed and not being seen, if he has this, then he would feel very ostracized because neurospicy people really struggle with interpersonality communication. And a lot of times they can be highly intelligent, so they can skate by and figure out how to get through the school, but they don't know how to get through the interpersonal stuff. So if he's struggling with interpersonal things, but he's intelligent, people are just going to go, he's just smart. Just let him figure it out instead of getting him the help he needs. So he's trying to figure out, who am I like? I don't know anyone who's like me. Well, these guys didn't really have emotions. Maybe I'm like them. Well, if I'm like them, maybe I should try this. What would happen if I tried this? Would I have feelings if I tried this? Because maybe I'd have feelings. I don't know. I don't normally have feelings. So if I had, would this cause me to have feelings? These are some of the things that it came across to me like. not only that, I'm going to tell you, a lot of those girls that I looked at were your really kind of more cheerleader type girls. They were not the nice girls in school. And that could have played a factor. Now, I'm not victim shaming or any of that kind of things. People make the choices they make in their lives. They do not deserve to be unalived by the choices they make. Okay? That's not okay. The other thing is, as he was studying the patterns, he was trying to figure things out. And he didn't know how to figure things out. So that's why it was more like, okay, I'm going to stand outside this house. Why am I going to do this? Okay, it was just almost, I mean, even when you saw him pulled over by the officers, he was like, I don't understand. There's a lot of disconnect. The other thing is we find out that he was wanting to go into the police department. Was he testing them to see if they would catch him? How good are they? Well, they did their job. Great. So let's get me back to the prison. Maybe I'll get my free PhD. I can finish my schooling and just be left alone. There are so many things that go through a neurodiverse person's brain. But I can tell you, if you're trying to if he is neurodiverse and you're neurotypical and you're trying to analyze him, you're not going to be able to figure it out. If you're neurodiverse and he's neurodiverse, you're going to be able to more so understand how he was looking at the patterns. Because that's what neurodiverse people do. And that's also how they create belonging. That's how they create rejection. That's how they create belonging. So if you wanted to really break him down and break down why he wasn't emotional, that's what you'd have to do. He went into his brain somewhere else because he didn't want to deal with those emotions, because why deal with them? They were bothersome. They weren't going to do anything for him. They weren't going to do anything for anyone else. That's why he was stoic. I can tell you right now, when people get really emotional with me, I don't like it. I go stoic. I'll tell them, no, we're not doing that. I mean, I really do not handle emotions really well. I'm just not, that's not how I roll. And I mean, I try to give space for people when they're having emotions, in a healthy way. I'll try to be kind, but I'm going to go somewhere else probably if people are having emotions. That's just not my thing. And I know a lot of people are like that. It doesn't mean they're bad. It just means it's not the way their synapses work. So I hope that this was helpful. And I hope that this makes more sense about how he's processing, what he's going through. And what I really hope for him is that if he is neurodivergent, that he gets diagnosed. And then he can get the help he needs in other areas as well. On that note, I'll see you next time. Bye for now.